Welcome to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith Maley and this is Morgan.
Hello everybody.
So we are glad to be with you this Saturday, and we are talking about something that we talk about quite often, and at least periodically, to help all of you, and that is some of the tips on how to hire a remodeling contractor. If you're not going to DIY it yourself, then if you're not going to do that yourself, then you're definitely looking at some opportunities there. So we will be discussing that, and at any time, if you'd like to look us up while we're live on the air here, then you can look us up at kmbuilders.com. We're also on several media platforms right now. Morgan, tell them.
Yep, you can find us on Facebook at KMBuilders1, on Instagram at KMBuilders, and then you can look us up on YouTube. Just search for KM Builders and you can see all of our weekly vlog videos.
Yes, and we have projects that are shown in series as we take you through the construction of these different projects. So glad to be with you this Saturday, and again we're talking about hiring a remodeling contractor, how to do that. And we're going to start off by talking about the different types of contractors, give you some good information about the differences between the different types. And then we're going to talk about tips to look for in your research of contractors. And then we're going to even give you some helpful questions that you can ask a contractor in our third segment. So we'll start this segment by talking about the types of contractors. But I almost forgot our lame contractor of the week segment. Morgan?
Yes, we have a lame contractor that you'll be doing.
All right, this is the Northeast Side man that was forced to make their own home repairs after a contractor took off with his money. So this was, he said it was a drastic change. I know it's something you'll never forget. And this is Mark Medina, who said that 10 months after the tornadoes touched down in San Antonio, the rebuilding continues for one North Side man. He had severe structural damage, and he said he took out a loan to hire contractors, but not far into the project, he had to call the job off because they ended up making the house worse and purposely destroying things to get insurance money. It's incredible. He said, I noticed that they cheated me on my tar paper. I showed up in the middle of the day and noticed they had only replaced part of it. And Medina said the contractor stole tens of thousands of dollars, forcing him to learn how to make the repairs himself. The construction company I hired, he said, ended up taking $40,000 and taking off and leaving me with nothing. He said, so with no previous experience in construction and a drained budget, Medina took on the challenge, reading books and watching do-it-yourself videos to get the job done. I started doing the work myself. I replaced all the water lines, he said. With more work to be done, Medina knows he won't be home for Christmas. Medina said he already spent an additional $40,000 of his own money to repair the home and said he'll be lucky to move back in by March.
So this was a news report in KSAT 12 and December 13, 2017. So
right.
Really recent. Yeah,
real recent. It's probably March. It's already past March, and I don't know how Mr. Medina is doing yet, but that's a horrible story.
Yeah.
And paying somebody $40, then having to put another $40 in yourself, plus doing the labor yourself. That's an incredible story, but unfortunately, it's not rare. It is something that we see all the time. So we weren't able to get the name of the contractor in this one, but it is a good warning that it happens. And
yep.
You really need to be careful. So thus our topic for today's show about hiring professionals. We're going to give you tips, not just on what type of contractor you want, but how to find a good one. And like we said, at any time, if you want to call us at 680-5626, you can leave a message, or you can look us up at kmbuilders.com. So the types of contractors that a homeowner might want to consider are general contractor, architect, a designer, or a design build contractor. And a lot of people, the broadest category of all that is general contractor. And we're not specifying for maybe a kitchen contractor or a bathroom contractor. That all falls under the category of general contractor.
That's not a handyman.
No, I mean a handyman is not considered a remodeling professional. Mm-hmm. Because they have the name handyman on them, and so they're not going to do that. Now there are some who cross over, but we're talking about people who say they can do remodeling. And again, we're There's a broad range of people who claim to be able to do it, and there's a big broad range of even people what they say they will be willing to do. So if you're getting a general contractor, he may not be as general as you think, first of all. And so
what does that mean?
Well, that means that you may want him to do a kitchen remodel. I just went to someone's house in Castroville last week, and he said that I was the only one who was willing to do, no, it was in Mico, Texas, I'm sorry, Mico. And he said I was the only one that could do the extension, the room addition, and the patio enclosure, and the kitchen remodeling all at the same time, and be willing to open up walls. So I was amazed that he said that I was the only one that was willing to do all of that. Some wouldn't do the cabinets or wouldn't do the countertops or this and that. And so I don't know how they were getting their contractors.
That's a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah, it really is. But you know, if you have to talk people into doing the whole project, you should stop right there.
Yeah.
If they don't seem comfortable or they seem hesitant, then you've got the wrong contractor. So let's talk first about that general contractor. You know, they typically can do all types of jobs, at least some of them can. And if you get the right one, then they should be able to do even a small job for you. They're really, though, more of a manager of a construction process. They are not the designers of a construction process. Typically, general contractors should be working with architects or design professionals in conjunction with them. So in other words, you hire an architect, and the general contractor, you can get bids from general contractors who will follow those details. They may or may not be very flexible either after they want to go by what's on the prints. And you'll also find that there's maybe a loophole in the fact that the architect designed it with a certain budget in mind, but the contractor's pricing that you're getting is not matching. So, and you really have no control over that. Well, it is what it is. Once your designs have been done, if all your contractors are coming up with higher pricing, then that may be a problem. So that leads right into the connection of an architect. But again, a general contractor may not be as general as you think. He may call himself a general contractor or just a contractor or remodeling contractor. We're all talking about the same thing. But you really need to know, have they done that specific type of work before? And we'll get into some of those questions you would ask, but not all. Just because they're a remodeling contractor, do all forms of remodeling. I see it by some of what some of the homeowners tell us. Now, KM Builders is a general contractor, but we're also a design build contractor, which we'll talk about also. But the point I'm making here is that we do everything in a home, and you do not have to hire multiple people, you know, to do it, even in the design work. But in most general contractors are not known for being able to do the designs, and if they do, you better be very careful, because that's not their specialty usually, or they don't have licensed or degreed people doing that. And so if they're not a design build contractor, that means they don't usually do the designs.
And then you would run into some problems, right?
Right, because it's not going to be their forte. It's not going to be what they do all the time. And you want someone who is really doing that all the time, whether it's designing your project or whether it's a certain phase of the kind of work that they do, whether it's a kitchen or a room addition or adding a second floor, structural work, taking out walls. You really want someone who does it regularly. And that's what you get with KM Builders. We do all of that, and we have the staff in-house to be able to do that as well. So when we come back after we take a break, we're going to talk about the very closely related to the general contractor is the architect and designer contractors. And so we'll talk about those when we get back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. Welcome back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show, and it's Keith and Morgan, and we are going to go into our segment that we do every week, which is a little brief glimpse of what goes on in our world between us and our clients. Yes. And we sometimes will have some that are like maybe not as great as others, but most of what we get from our clients is just really terrific. We want to share a little glimpse of it. Morgan, go ahead and share. What was it this week that you wanted to share?
This one was a text message to the whole crew that was working there, and it says, "I want to let everyone know that we really appreciate the work the demo crew has done. They have kept the area as clean and safe as possible. They also seem to really take pride in what they do. Great job."
I think his name was Joseph, right?
It doesn't have the name.
Oh, I sent it to you. It was Joseph, and Joseph has got a great project. There we're building out a room addition from the great room. It had a little patio attached to it, and then the patio continues on, but there's a little alcove that's like an L that would be enclosed, that we're enclosing. We're putting big, wide sliding glass door system on it.
Nice.
And it was a very complicated roof system and ceiling system and putting in beams and so forth. But what preceded that text, and you don't know this because I sent you a screenshot of it, was that he had a request about, I think it was about moving the lumber off the grass. He was concerned, and we had it on little stilts, but he said, I put a lot of money into that grass. I don't want to see it hurt, so we moved it. And then he said, by the way, and he said what you said, which is how great they were. He did not want, he was making sure that we knew that he was not complaining about them, which he can. I mean, if we did something wrong, we want to hear it, and he knows. But for everybody who's listening, we continue communication through text messaging with all of our clients. So I get to see every line of communication that happens on every job. We run 12 to 16 jobs at a time, and we have a text thread with every client on it, and we know exactly how they feel about things, and that's really wonderful. So the grass was protected because we moved the lumber right away, and I handled the actual instructions for that demo crew. And so they're doing a great job. JD and Rob are just doing a terrific job, and they just really advertise our company well. And a lot of times they're the first guys that show up.
Yeah, and they get all the compliments a lot of times too.
They don't get all of them, but they get a lot of the compliments.
Of them.
Yeah, they're high on the complimentary list.
Yep.
And then it continues on with the framing crew and our painters, our trim guys. They mention them by name, but that's just a little glimpse of it, and we want to share that with you.
Not everyone has the negative experiences like we share in the first segment, right?
Oh, that's right. I mean, so many negative experiences.
That's kind of all you hear about when you hear it, but this kind of shows that there are good remodeling experiences.
Yes, you can have a good experience, and that's what we want to help you do today by talking about how to hire a remodeling contractor. And we talked about the different types. The first type we mentioned in the first segment was general contractors. They may be really general, which means they may not be very specific too in some cases, so you have to be careful that they truly do the project that you have in mind. And because they're general, you also have to be concerned about the fact that they may not have done the type of project you want a lot, or never have done it. And you may want somebody a little more specialized that's done a lot of them. So we're kind of the best of both worlds. We've done every kind of project multiple times. And so we literally are experts at every type of project, because we are the largest in this business of design, build, remodeling. And that is a major accomplishment, and we have the staff to be able to support any type of project. Not many people can say that they are specialists at every type of project, because we truly are. For example, a kitchen contractor that specializes in that, he doesn't do more kitchens than we do. A bathroom remodeler does not do more bathrooms than we do.
What do you mean by that? How if they're only doing bathrooms?
Well, they're not as big as we are. So even though we're not specialized in only bathrooms and kitchens, we're such a large company that we still do more kitchens and baths than they do.
Yeah.
Even though they may only specialize in it. Isn't that interesting?
And it's better because a lot of times when you're doing a kitchen, you're touching other parts
That's
of the
exactly
project,
right.
So you're limiting yourself.
And that's exactly right. And I've never wanted to be limited. I've always wanted to do, well, if that's part of the project you would like to do, let's take care of that too.
Yeah.
We'll give you a better price if we do it now at the same time.
And less intrusive in your home.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of advantages to getting someone who can do it all. Now, again, a general contractor is supposed to be able to do that, but he may not be able to. And we said there may be a gap between what the contractor is pricing and what the architect said that he thought the project should be done for. And there is no liability there. So going back now to an architect, sometimes an architect is the guy you want to go to first. You may want to get all your drawings done there. You're going to need it to have a good tight contract, because it should be part of the documents, and then you're going to need it to go ahead and procure all of your permits. That's going to be necessary in almost every jurisdiction that has inspections. So you're going to need permits, you may need engineering, and so forth. So architects can do all that, and they are licensed by the state, and they have formal education and experience. and they have very much overall knowledge on design and construction. But a lot of times architects will not accept very small projects, so you might not be able to get one, and if you did, it might be disproportionately expensive to have them design your bathroom remodel. So there's some negatives there, but one of the biggest negatives, I think, is they don't usually handle the whole job. They may recommend contractors. There are a few architects that will do the construction, but not very many in residential.
Yeah.
And most of them will be separated. They have no liability, and so when you go out to get your bids, you might find that what you thought it was going to cost is quite different. Because remember, they're putting their signature on your project. They would like it to be really, really nice, and they know you're going to be excited if the project looks fantastic and exciting and different, and you know, whatever style you're choosing.
Really unique.
Yeah, you want it to be uniquely yours, but that sometimes involves more cost than what they're maybe up to date with. They may not be up to date with what these things are really costing, and what contractors are charging right now, because that can change. And so I've seen a lot of people who are disappointed by that process, and they've scrapped the process. They've just completely stopped because it led them down a road they weren't prepared for. Yeah, they're disappointed, exactly.
Yeah. That's sad.
So then the other type of contractor would be a designer. They might do small. They may be certified or licensed as a designer.
Like an interior designer?
An interior designer is an example of that. An interior designer carries a license if they're truly an interior licensed designer. Some are certified in certain things, and like for me, I'm a universal design certified professional, which is specializing in universal design. But I don't think that's enough, really. Now, it might be for a little small project, but it isn't good enough for what we do. My designs and my experience would not be enough for what I would want to use, so at least not solely for any project that we do in our business. Typically, if we're going to do drawings, we're going to have one of our architectural designers or one of our interior designers, or even our cabinet designer also involved in all these projects. So we're going to get an architect, yeah, and we have an architect on staff. And so that's typically what we're looking for. Certified designers, licensed designers can do that, and some of them act as contractors also. And so they may perform this service for you, but again, how general are they? How many resources do they really have? You really need to vet these types of contractors, designer contractors, very, very carefully also, because they sometimes act like it's not their fault, it's the subcontractor who they're hiring. Or they're lending them out to you and they make a profit on them. Either way, you're going to have a lot to watch out for. So we're going to give you some pointers on that. When we come back after the news break, we're going to go ahead and talk about the fourth type of remodeling contractor, and that is a design build remodeling contractor. We'll talk about that, and we want to mention our sponsor, Billy's Western Wear, at billyswesternwear.com. 1-855-68-BILLY. It's where I buy all my Western wear, no matter how often or how little you use Western wear. It's a great place to shop in Bernie and in Kerrville. We'll come back to the K&M Builders Remodeling and Design Show. Welcome back to the K&M Builders Remodeling and Design Show. I'm Keith, and you are?
Morgan Maley Roberts.
And so we're glad to be with you this Saturday, and hope you're enjoying the show and your Saturday. Your no doubt hot Saturday, unless you get a little rain shower. But we are talking about a very important subject, and that is how to choose a remodeling contractor. And the segment that we're going to start every third segment with is Morgan's segment. What's trending with Morgan?
Yep. So this one, the minimal trend is very popular, but this is a way to embrace it in your kitchen with smart storage. So they're calling them appliance garages, because you think about all the things that you would normally have on your countertop, like your coffee maker, your toaster, your mixer or something. People don't want to see those anymore. They want their countertops to be very clean. So they are doing these little garages where they literally are on hinges. It's the same as your cabinets. You just pull them up and there's your coffee maker. And so it can even be not right on your countertop. It can be the one space above it, so that way it's not looking like it's still just something covering on your countertop. So that's kind of what they're doing. So you don't have to take everything out. And they have plugs in the cabinet for it, so it works and everything.
What do you think of that idea?
I would love it.
You know, appliance garages have been around for decades. And I can, you know, even in the 60s, I know that they were making appliance garages, and they used the accordion door type.
That's what
roll top desk type, and those were the most common. And they're still used some, but I like the new idea that you're talking about, which is raising them off the counter to a height that's still usable, but and it can actually have a little more counter space. You can still see the under cabinet lighting, and you get that beautiful backsplash, but you drop them down, kind of like what we do with a microwave. We drop a microwave down a little bit from the typical cabinet height, and that makes it really usable for almost everyone. And it is a much safer place to put a microwave.
It's like a microwave drawer.
Well, besides a microwave drawer is really cool because it's right at below the countertop, and then you just lift it up and you put it on the countertop, whatever you're cooking. But the next best place is to have it slightly above the countertop, about 12 inches above the countertop. Normal height on a cabinet is 18 inches for a cabinet for above the countertop, but you drop it down about 6 inches. It makes it really comfortable for even vertically challenged people to reach it and to put it right safely on the countertop right below it. So you're not carrying it a long distance. You're definitely getting rid of it being over the stove or the cooktop, which is extremely dangerous. And then that really is hard for people who can't reach that far too. And then again, you're working over a fire sometimes or boiling liquids. Drop something in it, you're going to get burned. So this is a good alternate. I like the new garage thought of raising them up a little bit like that and getting them off the counters, but still concealing them.
With
and except for you and your red appliances that you love, you'd want to show a couple of those. All right, so.
But some of them are ugly.
Yeah, some are just not, and you may not want to invest in new ones. You just want to keep them covered.
Yeah.
And like you said, clean lines, countertop space, beautiful backsplashes, and lighting. That's going to always look great. And so you can't go wrong with that. Well, thanks for the trending. I didn't know you were going to talk about that. That's great. Let's talk about, though, the third type of remodeling contractor. We mentioned general contractors. Some are not as general, and some are not even as specific as you would want. And then again, some specific contractors still don't do as much as like we do, as many kitchens or bathrooms as we do. The architect may not have any responsibility to the pricing of your project or the outcome of it. So he might be recommending, although the drawings may be great and so forth, they'll probably do the job. They may not be in the price range of the project that you wanted.
There's no guarantee.
No guarantee. And if he has no responsibility to the building process, you're going to be on your own managing that. Some will charge a fee to manage it, but again, it's going to be tough. The designer, certified designer or a licensed designer, as you mentioned, an interior designer, or other types of people having certifications and licenses. These people can do designs, and typically those are used on smaller projects. Some do large projects too. Some act as general contractors as well. They're a designer, and a lot of interior designers will do their own contracting, or they'll recommend the subs to the homeowner and take a fee off of that. But once it starts putting responsibility back on the homeowner, that's a liability that you should not handle. I'll go ahead and say it. You should not handle that. And
that's a lot.
You want it full responsibility on one person doing the contracting. And knowing that it's going to match those plans.
Because you're not going to know.
Well, not until it's too late. Yeah, you'll find out.
Not until inspector comes.
Well, sometimes it's that, or sometimes it's all the beautiful tile you bought has now been put up improperly, and what are you going to do to salvage it? If you're providing materials, especially, now you're out. If they're providing, it's a little bit different, but still, I mean, it's a big liability. We obviously believe that the fourth type that we're mentioning here, the design build contractor, is the preferred contractor to be able to hire, because you're hiring only one company to do the design work and the construction services. and usually even and some of them don't do small projects, but we do small projects. So we're a design build contractor. We are the largest of those types of residential design build contractors. Another thing that we are is a full service remodeler. We do every type. So we are a general contractor, but we include the designs. We have an architect on staff, architectural degree designers. We have interior designers. We have cabinet designers. So all of this is to give you the best service. We have our own estimating team, which is really doesn't do estimates, it does exact quotes.
Yeah.
And it's a full breakout of menu pricing. And then we have our own construction teams under the same roof. So that means that we're going to guarantee that the job can be done for the budget that we set out for in the design agreements. You start off with a design agreement, and then you move forward and you get the project in the budget that you want, and we create lots of options to give you choices if you want to go beyond your budget. And you know, and everybody wants to go beyond their budget, but they need to know how much it's costing them and if it's worth it to them.
Yeah.
So a design build contractor offers all that control under one roof, including engineering, budgets, designs, construction, everything, all at one, and we have that full service. Now, there are a lot of people who call themselves designers, like the previous category that we talked about, but they're not really designers. They just have experience. They don't have degrees. I wouldn't recommend them at all. And you don't know. They actually can call themselves designers, so how do you know? We're going to get into the questions you would ask, and also the same is true for design build contractors. They have no architects or no interior designers under their roof, but they call themselves design build contractors.
There are a lot of people that call themselves.
Yeah, it kind of ticks me off to know that they're trying to confuse themselves with us.
Yeah.
They're trying to confuse people to think there are really more choices than there are. There are not a lot of choices in the true design build, at least to the degree that we have it, which is, you know, those design professionals on staff. So make sure you know the difference. When we come back after the break, we are going to talk about those questions that you would want to ask, the hard questions and the red flags that you should look for in hiring a remodeling contractor. Before we go to the break, though, we want to talk about our other sponsor, Truly Nolan.
Yep, you can call Truly Nolan at 1-800-468-7859 or look them up at trulynolan.com.
Yeah, and Truly Nolan, just so you know, is a pest control services. They have the little mouse cars. And what's the website again?
trulynolan.com.
All right, so we'll come right back to talking about tips on questions you ask a remodeling contractor when we come back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show. Welcome back to the KM Builders Remodeling and Design Show, and I love this subject. We're talking about how to choose a remodeling contractor, because for a lot of people it's tough, and one of the problems is that people don't know what to base their decision on. What do you think a lot of people, Morgan, base their decision to hire a contractor on?
I'd say two things: price, and if they kind of feel they can trust them.
Right, so feelings.
Yeah.
And then price. And sometimes price overweighs feelings.
Yes.
And it's exactly why we bring out these lame contractor segment every week, because those people got hooked by the price in almost every case. We've talked to many of them who were tempted to give large amounts of money up front because the price was so good. It didn't matter if they gave them $20,000, because overall, if you think you're saving $20,000, well, why not give the guy the $20,000 he's asking for?
Yep.
If you're saving $10,000, why not give him the $10,000 he's asking for? You're saving that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the logic that
the
brain associates. But it's completely false, because you're giving $10,000 to a guy who's not going to finish it, or $20,000, someone who's not going to finish it, and then you're still going to have to pay the real price later on to the contractor, or even more. Or even more to him to fix the damage that was done, like the last contractor we talked about. So it is a bad mistake to judge or to choose a remodeler based on price. We've talked about the 4 types of contractors: the general contractor, the architect, the designer, the design build contractor, which is what we are. We have it all under one roof. But how will you choose which one out of any of those categories you choose? How will you choose? Well, I would like to start off with reputation. And we have a sterling reputation in the industry, and so you'd want to check us out or anyone else out with the Better Business Bureau, the City of San Antonio, see if there's any thing against their license. You'd want to make sure they have a license first of all. Do they have licenses? Do they have certifications? Do the people that are doing the design work have degrees? Are they licensed as an architect or an interior designer? So, you know, at the very least, what you could do is tape record people, and when they tell you yes, then let them know you're tape recording them, and they'll probably give you a better answer. But they can be legally liable for what they said if you can prove that they said it. So make sure they know that you're checking it out and that you're getting it documented. And so you have two ways of documenting that. Really is to let them know you're videotaping them, or you're videoing them or recording them. But that's going to only work in a court of law, and it may be difficult to prove, to get them even into a court of law. It may be difficult, and if not impossible, to get any money out of them is another story. So, and do you really want to have to do that? So best to get verification, which would be certificates. You also want to make sure that not only have licenses, certifications for what they claim they can do, but also insurance. Yes. You want to make sure that they are insured and that insurance is valid, and that you can ask any question to their insurance agents or without them getting upset. What organizations are they part of also? And check with the organizations that are known for these types of contractors. The National Association of the Remodeling Industry. You could call them about our company, for example, and find out how long we've been in there, what kind of reputation we have, and they would tell you the truth. And they would also tell you the truth about someone who they don't know anything about or know very little about or have very bad information about. They would tell you that they cannot vouch for that person.
Because that industry holds each other to a high standard.
Yes,
right?
there are ethics in those, and they do want to protect the interest of the group, and they're not going to have a problem with kicking someone out. I've seen it happen, and eliminate someone from something because they weren't comfortable with it. And so I was a president of the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, NARI, for 2.5 years. And so that's a good organization. So you'd want to know if they have that. Are they EPA certified? We are.
What's that?
Well, the Environmental Protection Agency has rules about lead contaminated paint and removal of it, and asbestos and many other things. So you want to make sure that they are certified. Also, organizations such as the San Antonio Builders Association, Greater San Antonio Builders Association, the National Kitchen and Bath Association is important, which we are members of all of those as well. And the National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, we are members of those as well. So this is where we get a lot of our education, through these organizations. And if they're not part of them, they're probably not keeping up with the latest in the codes and trends.
They could be stuck in time.
That's right. And just going by old school practices, which change. Yep. Even fasteners and the treatment of treated wood and all these things change over time.
The products change, so the way that you build has to change.
You cannot do them the same way. There are catastrophic failures occurring all over the country because people are doing it the old way, and the products do not match up to even the type of fasteners that are to be used. And so this is very important that people get educated and that they're in good standing. As we said, Better Business Bureau is a great one also. And online surveys. Find out why people had a problem with a contractor. Not just that they had a problem with them, but why. So how long have they been in the business? What names have they been under? What cities? Who owned it? Do they have the same owner, owner of the company? Do they ask for big down payments? That's a big red flag. If you're asking for more than 10% down, that's a big red flag.
Why?
Because it could take a lot of your money before you ever start on the work. Yeah, so we only ask for 10%, in some cases 5%. How long is the warranty? How long have they been in business? Will it even matter if they're not in business? How long of a warranty they give you? Are they using employees or subcontractors?
Why is that one important?
Well, they have more control on the schedule if it's their own employees. And if they tell you they're employees, then you need to know if they're taking out wages on them, taking out taxes on them, and they're actually paying them wages, or if they're independent employees like subcontractors. There's a big difference.
Yep.
And the control and who's going to show up on the job, they have little control on the schedule or who's going to show up on the job if they're subs.
Because
Builders.
they could be getting other jobs.
Oh yeah, well they're obligated in many places, not just to that contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, we have almost 40 employees, and that keeps us in control of the schedule, the quality, the communication, the timing, you know, so many things, the neatness, the quality control. Our standards are held by those individuals.
Because you can't make a subcontractor and force them to hold your
That's
standards.
right. Who's going to pull the permit? If it's not you, if it's not the contractor, you've got a real problem there. I like to ask this question too: do they have a radio show for 15 years where they've got a target on their chest every Saturday?
That's
I'll just throw a couple of questions out there. We are wrapping up, but ask, and you can look this up and find this recorded show on podcast or on the video. So I'll say them off, rattle them off quickly. Could they, if you ask a homeowner about the project, verify with homeowners first of all that they've actually done the work. Ask them questions like, could they communicate well? Were they pleased with the quality of the work? And you got to get detailed on that. Were they satisfied with the business practices of the remodeler? Did the crew show up on time? Were they comfortable with the people that they had in their home? Was the job completed on schedule? Did the remodeler fulfill his or her contract? Did the contractor stay in touch through the project? What was their communication like? What were the final details finished to their satisfaction and in a timely manner? Would you use them without hesitation? These are some of the great questions that you can ask. Also, what was the original budget, and what did the final budget turn out to be? How much difference was there? So those are some great questions you can ask. Again, also you want to know if any liens have ever been filed. Did they pay all bills? Did you have any problem with that? Was the contractor asking for money? So these are some great questions to ask. And if you want to find out more, go to kmbuilders.com. We are the contractor that is the biggest and the best at this design build contracting. We would love to give you a free consultation. I'll come out and meet you personally. And just look us up at 680-5626. That's 680-KMCO or kmbuilders.com. And Morgan, what other platforms?
Instagram at KM Builders, Facebook at KM Builders 1, and YouTube, look up KM Builders.
Well, thank you for joining this Saturday, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And remember, you could have someone else remodel your home, but then you'd have to live in it.